Bro, I'm basically a sniper now. Right there. Instant sniper upgrade. What in the world is that? All right, welcome back to the shop today. Guys, I got a fun project on the table that I've been wanting to work on for a little while. It's actually a long-term project. Working on an M40 style or M24 style rifle that I've had around for a while. I've actually had the barrel to action that I created a long time ago, but I've been trying to turn that thing into a half-minute gun, and I haven't quite got there yet. I've gotten close, and I've had some cherry-picked half-minute groups that I could get out of some of my loads, but I've been working this gun up for quite a few years now, and I've been tweaking and trying out different stocks and trying out different muzzle brakes and all kinds of different stuff, just kind of a long-term project gun. But today, I'm finally putting on the final upgrade that I've wanted to do for quite a while. The McMillan A-5 stock. Let's talk about that. All right, if you're in the shooting community, you're probably familiar with McMillan stocks here in Arizona, where I'm at. They've been around a long time. They've serviced the sniper rifle community, law enforcement, and the shooting and tactical and competitive sports communities like that for a very long time, with really high grade, custom made fiberglass stocks. Now, these are not cheap, these are expensive stocks, but they're pretty much customizable however you want for whatever rifle you're shooting, whatever platform, caliber, and application you might want to look for. The real benefit of these stocks is they're all fiberglass with vetted pillars in them and stuff like that. So overall, as a slap-in stock goes, they don't come much sturdier than this. You don't need any bedding in these things. It's actually recommended not to bed these stocks, so you can just put your barreled action straight into the custom-made stock for your gun in action, torque it down to proper specs, and call it. Now, I've gone with the A4 style stock because I like the way it looks. It was similar to the Choate tactical stock that I had on this rifle right here, Helga. Helga's getting an upgrade. It's similar in that Choate tactical copied the A4 style stock from McMillan for their Choate tactical stock. And I like the stock style, design, shape, and size overall. It's a little on the thicker side to what I normally want, but the way that McMillan does it, it's a much sturdier stock. It's not quite as thick and chunky feeling, and even though it does have a very wide beaver tail forend right up front, which is great for riding on bags and stuff like that, back here on the pistol grip and stuff like that, it's actually pretty comfortable to grip. You know, you gotta get your straight angle, vertical style pistol grip for precision shooting. It's not overly chunky. This one, I just went with the basic off the rack profile, so sling swivel studs front and back, 2 in the front, 1 in the back. No adjustable cheek piece. The straight comb on this one is about the right height for me for the most part, because I like to float a little bit above my cheekbone. So this one probably be about the right height. If I need to add a 1/4 inch of padding to it, I will, real easy, not a big deal. It's the Remington 700 style, made for the MTU contour barrel. So I went into McMillan. On their website, they actually have a place in here on their website I'll show that you can shop and pick off the rack stocks. So stocks that they've already made, or they've kind of made for a stock size and type of rifle, usually the Remington model 700, short and long action stuff, and you can get a ready-made stock, so you don't have to wait for the custom order times, which can be 10-12 weeks sometimes. This one's just a straight bare bones OD green, no fancy paint scheme or anything like that. I'm gonna actually do it myself, so it fit the needs of what I wanted really well, and I didn't have to wait on the custom thing to go on there. So overall, I mean, it's a simple stock, all fiberglass. This is the tactical fill on it. So this one had a little bit heavier fill in it than the Sporter style did, but it's not their heaviest like bench rest fill. So it gives a little bit of weight to the back end. So there's a little bit more balance point forward on this one, meaning it's heavier on the back end than it is the front end, which will equate to a little bit of increased balance overall with the heavy barrel up front, heavier back end. The rifle itself is going to feel probably a little bit more balanced than it would if it was just a straight light Sporter or carbon fiber fill. With a heavy gun like this, I've got the MTU barrel on my Remington 700, and it's only a 22-inch barrel, so I cut and crowned it down to 22, threaded it for a muzzle device. But it's the full MTU bull profile with the rimage barrel nut, so instead of having just a taper there, there's a little bit of a step down, but it's a really thinking thick barrel. It's not a full bull, but it's pretty thick, the MTU is. So it's hefty. It's a hefty barrel up front. So a little bit of weight in the back end of the stock is gonna help me balance that out a little bit better. All right, this one was inlet and cut for the M5 style bottom metal. So I went with the Hawkins Precision DBM M5 style. So with a little bit of a barricade stop on the front, the wings for release right there on the back. Pretty excited about that. I've never used Hawkins before. I've used other brands similar to them, but it's just a simple billet aluminum milled out detachable magazines for AICS style magazines. So if you're not running AI magazines, you're not cool. All right, I'm excited about this. This has been a little in the works. The A5 itself, let's do straight from their website. The A5 stock is not a clone stock of any particular Marine Corps sniper rifle, like M40A1, M40A3, 2, 1, whatever, A5. It is a combination, from their website, is a combination of the features required most or asked for most in the A series tactical style stocks. So it's kind of an amalgamation of all the different really great features that the industry responded to well, and McMillan incorporated into one stock. So you have your vertical grip, you have a bag and thumb hook rider right here, you have straight comb, a little notch cut out for getting your bulk carrier group out, and you have, or your bulk group out, you have a beaver tail forend, like I mentioned, a little bit wider, makes it easier for riding on bags and barricades and stuff like that, but it's nicely rounded on the edges so you don't have any, it's more retro than it is contemporary. Like the A6 style stock is a little more squared off and chamfered than this one is. This one's got that nice rounded appeal to it, and it kind of reminds me of similar to something you might see on an M40A1, just a little more modern version of the traditional sniper rifle stock. So I'm pretty excited. Let's get this thing put together and get out to the range and test and see if this is the final link in the chain of turning this M24, M40-ish style gun that I built years ago into a true half-minute gun. Because that's been my goal all along, is to turn that thing into a true, consistent half-minute gun. And I've tried the field stock, I've tried other things, the chode stock and all that stuff. Haven't quite got there yet. I've tweaked loads back and forth, all kinds of good stuff. It'll do half-minute. I can get half-minute groups out of this thing, sometimes a little less, but not consistently enough for me to call it confidently a half-minute gun with this loose screw behind the trigger. So let's see if we can't fix that with this stock. We're all fit up, and I like the way it looks, man. I do. I really enjoy the way that looks. The A5 stock is one of my more favorite ones from McMillan. It's a great company to work with. If you've never worked with them, I highly recommend it. It's not uncomfortable at all so far as weight goes and size. It's a little on the thicker side to what like the field stock and stuff is, but it feels hefty, it feels solid, it feels sturdy, and it makes the rifle feel just so much more like a precision rifle should feel. Not something you're gonna be hiking up and down the mountains with, but I'm gonna check some torque specs on my bolts here, do a little more setting in with that, settling it in and all that good stuff. Plenty of clearance on the barrel here. I've got no touching anywhere that I don't want touching, and yeah, nice deep channel there. Looks like we are gonna be in business. I just noticed something I do need to pull off of here before I fully torque this down. Got a little tape on this side that's riding inside of my receiver, so I'm gonna pull that off, get this thing fully torqued in, and get to the range and do some shooting. Hot off the press and fresh back from the range. I actually had a really great range day today. It was a lot of fun. Took this out there to get re-zeroed in and do some dope and some velocity testing and see if there's an improvement from putting it in the McMillan A-5 stock. And I want to share those results real quick. Using as a control group my Fiocchi Exacta Match rifle ammo from Fiocchi, and it is 142 grain Sierra Match King hollow point bowtail. So this is a really great off the shelf training round or precision round or just having fun around if you'd like it. If you like it for goofing off and that kind of thing for your rifle. It's easy to get, inexpensive to get. I won't say it's super easy to get. You're probably not gonna find it at a lot of local mom and pop stores, but you can find it online easy enough, and it's relatively inexpensive. It has a really great bullet, and the velocities on it are pretty decent. Posted velocity 2675 here on the box, and I was getting 2650, so I'm pretty darn close even with a 22-inch barrel. So I've got that. I'm using as a control group for accuracy testing on this Mark 22 is what I call it. It's my Mark 22 and the new A-5 stock from McMillan. Now, prior to shooting and changing stocks then shooting, my group average with the Fiocchi, the last couple batches I've had of it, and you know, I get it kind of by half cases or cases. The last couple batches I've had of it, I average about 0.75 to 1.125 minute of angle groups with this stuff out of this rifle. So just over or around 3/4 minute on the low end, and that's like on a really good day, to about 1 minute and 1/8 on the high end is my average across the board. And this is, you know, so if I were to cherry pick, it'd be the 3/4 minute group, but closer average is about 1 minute. Okay, so let's just call it, realistically, this rifle with that ammo is about 1 minute in the previous chassis and stocks I've had it in. Now, I wanted to use a control ammo that's off-the-shelf factory stuff because it's a little more fair comparison, or it's a little easier to judge what actually I'm going to get out of this rifle compared to my hand loads with it, because my hand loads are so tuned in and so tight in this thing anyway, it might be hard to tell if I'm getting an accuracy gain. Personally, I always recommend finding yourself an off-the-shelf load you can shoot that shoots well in your rifle, so that you have a backup option if you don't reload, or you don't want to reload, or you can't reload for whatever reason. Today, let's just go straight into the results. All right, the first thing I actually did after I re-zeroed this thing, I did a couple cold bore shots. So I'd pop a shot, adjust, let it cool down for 10 minutes, pop another shot, adjust. Okay, we're zeroed, life is good. So once I got that done, it took me like 3 rounds to get that sorted out. But once I did that, I actually fired a 9-hole group. I went ahead straight into an acid test 9-hole group straight down range. I'm gonna put that result at the end. So after my 9-hole group, I didn't go down and measure. I just busted that group out, kind of rapid fire. I was fighting some pretty gnarly winds today. We were gusting 15 to 20 miles an hour, and actually doped it out to 850 and verified. So we were getting some pretty good gusts today. But I fired a couple 3-shot groups after that, just to kind of see what was going on with the barrel and the load itself in kind of smaller subsets. The first one did not make me feel good. I laid down the first group and it was 1.170 minutes of angle. And I was like, fantastic. We're right back where we started. We saw no gain in accuracy. Not that I don't love the stock and I love the way that it looks and everything, but we didn't get any better. That was my first thought. I was like, well, I didn't get any better. I was expecting a little bit of gain in accuracy. I do love the way the stock feels. I love the way it shoots, and I love the way it looks. So it's like, well, it's not a loss. I didn't gain any, you know, I didn't degrade any accuracy by changing. But then I went ahead and fired 2 more groups, settled down a little bit, same box of ammo, went down for 2 more groups. The second shot group, 3-shot group, was 0.635 minutes of angle. That was looking a little juicier. I was like, okay, I like where I see I'm going with this. And then the third or fourth total, but the third 3-shot group I shot was 0.648 minutes of angle. So that's 2 very consecutive groups, and the wind had died down. So I was kind of waiting on that because I was getting some gnarly gusts on that first group. So I waited for the wind to die down. I found myself in a calm zone for a minute. And so I started firing off a couple more groups to see what I got. Well, that was looking a little more exciting, but this is where things really got exciting, and that is my 9-hole group, which I hadn't actually measured or even looked at this point. I didn't go down and measure or anything. I was just banging the rounds out and then went straight into the other groups after some cool down. The 9-hole group was 0.98 minutes of angle for 9 shots. And one of those shots, I actually made an adjustment after the first shot. So there was a small, minute adjustment, 1 click windage and elevation adjustment after the first shot. And I managed to put 9 shots in a 0.9 minute of angle group. Now I've compared that. I've gone back and retroactively compared that to some previous 9-hole groups with this ammo out of this rifle and the field stock and the Chode tactical stock that I had before, and the average was 1.5 minutes of angle for 9-hole groups, and that's across the board. I'd never gotten any better than that. Fantastic. It looks like we have a winner. So overall, it actually looks like there was a noticeable gain in accuracy potential with this rifle going into the McMillan A-5 stock with Hawkins DBM M5 bottom metal and the factory 142 grain Sierra Match King field key ammo, which then I did dope out to 850 yards just to play around because I had a couple boxes with me. So I went ahead and got my atmospheric conditions dialed into my ballistic calculator, which I use applied ballistics for, and put some rounds downrange at 850 yards in between the two posts that are out there. They're 12 inches apart and they're about this big, and reading the wind was a little bit rough at first. I guessed it at about 12, but it was more like 15. So after doping that, after 1 or 2 rounds, I got it doped in and I could hit a stake that was out there. This wooden stake that was out there on one of the left-hand sides of the thing. I was managed to pop that thing. I didn't get any footage of that because I don't have a downrange camera right now, and I did not feel like taking the stake home because it wasn't mine, it's somebody else's. I don't know whose it is. But anyways, it looked like this was gonna be a really good setup, a really good rig for my basically main banging rifle, just for long range shooting in 6.5 Creedmoor. And I really like this A5 stock. It feels good, it looks good, it's comfortable to shoot, it rides bags, it rides bipods, and it rides tripods really, really well. And the cheek position and everything for me, I think is actually gonna be good. I'm not gonna move it, I'm not gonna add anything to that. The hand grip was really comfortable in a good shooting position, you know, just a simple, you know, vertical shooting position, thumb rest and everything. It was actually really comfortable, no bite anywhere on the stock, and it just adds a sturdy heft to it. But it was pleasant to carry around. I actually walked back and forth to the target with it when I was going to check stuff and mark stuff off, and just carried it down, carried it back, and it wasn't unpleasant. I can see actually carrying this on some shorter hunts. I wouldn't do on a long range mountain hunt, but shorter hunts to and from a stand, that kind of thing, with the sling especially, definitely. All right, that's it. That's all I got for today. McMillan A5 stocks, check it out. McMillan stocks in general, they're a fantastic company to work with. I highly recommend trying out one of their stocks. They have some lighter sporter models too for hunting and stuff like that. So thank y'all for joining me again. Stay sharp, do some good shooting out there.